It's a unique platform to share outstanding success stories. Racehill is India's largest viscose filament yarn manufacturer with exports to over 45 countries and in fact has won several gold trophies from the Synthetic and Rayon Textile Export Promotion Council for the highest exports in that category. Racehill has always supported new ideas, innovations, initiatives in the world of fashion and textiles. It has always attempted to partner with the textile fraternity to create success stories. Today, the company finds and joins hands with the Images groups and looks at this forum to celebrate the dreams and the passions that drive success. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Solo Express, stories, opinions, learnings and outcomes presented by Racehill. Let's have an audiovisual from Racehill.
1959, a foundation stone was laid, starting with a modest operation of 4 TPD. This Aditya Birla Group company has grown in leaps and bounds. Indian Rayon, unit of Aditya Birla Nuvo Limited, leader in VFY industry in India, production of close to 20,000 tons turnover of about rupees 745 crores per annum. Superfine, fine and coarse denier viscose filament yarn in dull, bright and dyed yarns. 100% natural, superior drape, excellent softness and smoothness, luster, high color brilliance, secret behind rich fabrics, creates fashion, elegant and evergreen. Best of georgettes, crepes and chiffons make the world of Racehill. Racehill is seamlessly woven together across textile value chain, brand and retail. Today, let's create together the new age fashion with Racehill. Together towards tomorrow.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a battery of young guns. We call them vibrant fashion CEOs. And they're going to be presenting untold stories, mega life lessons, bold opinions, outstanding outcomes, and the biggest business dreams. This is Solo Express, and it's presented by Racehill from Indian Rayon. What we're going to do, we've got these success stories, we've got all our experts lined up there. We're going to invite our moderators on stage, and we're going to give each of our experts, each of our success stories, 5 minutes to tell you why and how they scripted those success stories. We'll have a warning bell at the end of 4.5 minutes and another bell at the end of 5 minutes, just to help our experts keep track of the time. Ladies and gentlemen, to share her thoughts with us, very briefly, please welcome the head of marketing at Racehill, Ranjani Roy.
Good evening, all of you, and a very warm welcome from all of us here. A very warm welcome to all the guests of the 17th Images Fashion Forum, especially to all at SoloX, powered by Racehill. Racehill is a fashion yarn, and it is manufactured by Indian Rayon, an Aditya Birla Group company. It is the market leader in viscose filament yarn, and as you would know, Racehill is 100% natural, and it has unique properties, being very similar to silk. The luster, the drape, the color brilliance that it has is almost very close to silk, yet the comfort properties and the softness and smoothness that it has is very close to cotton. So it's a very unique product in that sense. And importantly, the drape is unparalleled and the luster is unmatched. And you would know also that this product gets into georgettes, crepes and chiffons and creates ethnic wear, fusion wear and western wear, flowy, very comfortable, and also extremely appropriate for both regular and occasion wear. But the reason why we are here today and also partnering with SoloX is primarily because RACIL has existed over more than 60 years in the country. However, it has always been its endeavor to be unique and to be doing something new. I'm very happy to also let all of you know that it's been 2 years that RACIL has acquired a German technology which allows it to create superfine products which is similar to silk in many ways. And that's what actually helps it develop extremely rich, luxurious apparel and other fabric materials for daily and occasion wear. Likewise, we have also been partnering with new innovations across the fashion world. So path-breaking stories is something that we love to weave. Our future plan is also to create many more success stories uniquely with brands and retail. Today, I think it is great that we could come together and celebrate success stories of many sitting here. I'm sure all of us here has got some successes to share. However, we would learn from some of them today. And we look forward to working with each one of you, creating more success stories, path-breaking stories, and our own unique personal expressions of something that we have achieved. I thank Images for this first ever SoloX. I think it is a wonderful initiative. And while we discuss fashion, we discuss trends, I think it is very rare that, other than just giving out awards, there are platforms where we can share those lovely moments where we had been successful and we want to share with friends and with fraternity and community. And hence, success is a lot of dreams, a lot of aspirations, enveloped in passion and perseverance. We at RACIL appreciate this and salute the spirit of achievement with each one of you and in each one of you. Have a great evening ahead and a great year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ranjani, for that warm and cordial welcome and for giving us the latest on innovations at RACIL. Ladies and gentlemen, to give us the latest on innovations and the success stories, we've got a lot of young guns, we've got some old hands out here, a mix of youth and experience. And now, ladies and gentlemen, moderating this entire session, we've got two distinguished personalities. Please put your hands together and welcome Board Member El Captain Asia, Biju Kurian. And joining Mr. Biju Kurian is motivational speaker, certified international speaker. Please welcome Mr. Harish Mehta.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Biju Kurian and Mr. Harish Mehta, and over to you, gentlemen.
Good evening. So before we invite the first speaker, what I'd like to say is that, we've got 20 people.
Oh, so many.
Yeah. And assume that they have an average experience of 20 to 25 years.
Oh, so many.
So how many years does it make it? Whose maths is good? 400 to 500 years?
500 years.
Yeah. And we've got 5 minutes for each of them.
Oh, that's a challenge.
So that's 100 minutes. So what's the value of experience per minute?
Who would like to take that question?
4 years. So what you're going to be hearing, ladies and gentlemen, are stories. Stories which actually each of our speakers would like to share. Stories which might have made them what they are. Stories which might have made their businesses what they are. Stories which might have changed their lives and changed probably the fortunes of their business. So what we'd like to do is to be able to showcase these 20 people and get them to share their stories with you. Some of them might sing their stories. Some of them might act out their stories. Some might speak about their stories. But most importantly, I think what we were trying to imply is that every minute of their story is valuable. Now, what are we going to do with these stories? Are we going to just listen to them? The whole purpose of listening to these people and their stories is that in each of these stories, there is something in it for each of us. Let's think about, what could Manjula have done? And I think what is important is that here we have a mix of people. We have those who are first-generation entrepreneurs. We have some who are second-generation entrepreneurs. We have some who are managing directors of large MNCs or large Indian companies. So when you look at all of this, what do you get out of this, Harish?
I think they have too much to share to all of us. How they have become what they have become and what they have done in these past 20
25
years.
The long-awaited Manjula Tiwari.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Manjula Tiwari from Future Style Lab. I run Cover Story. I'm very happy to be here with all of you to share this little story. A story about finding the courage to create. When you start something from scratch, it's super, super, super scary. Really rewarding, but super scary. Rewarding, super scary. Normally, it starts from a hunch. Your gut tells you you're onto something. And then you say, okay, wait there. Maybe there is something to what I'm thinking. Maybe there's something in that. For me, it started with the dream of making Western wear accessible to Indian women, to find what works for their sensibilities, to get them what they like, what fits them, and give them a product which is luxurious, affordable, and global. That was the dream. But then, for years you resist the urge. You really can't take that leap. And you resist the urge to change that hunch into a plan into a project into a business. You keep mulling over, you keep thinking, but the feeling just doesn't go away. It just keeps getting stronger and stronger. And then chance meetings happen. They could be around the corner. They could take years. But I learned that never give up thinking. So in my case, the chance meeting for me happened when I had a coffee with Rakeshji, and 2 days after a brief meeting with Kishorji at Future Group. And then, over the coffee, without any PowerPoints or any complex charts or presentation, we talked. We had spotted an opportunity. We had a simple roadmap to grab it. And believe it or not, what I was thinking about for years and years actually took 15 minutes to close, and it was done. So that's how it all started. But after it was done, there were many doubters. Many, many doubters. What? Indian company? Global fast fashion? Trends? Western wear? Why don't you do ethnic wear? How can you do it? There is so many Indian brands and blah, blah. So there were many, many, many doubters. But I was very lucky. I found this dreamy, passionate, crazy bunch of believers. And I'm not talking about my investors. They were quite crazy too. But I'm talking about every stakeholder who worked with me, my design agency, the retail designers, everybody, on every part, every single part. And they were so passionate about it. I told them my vision, and they became joint custodians. They were so passionate, they took away the sole ownership. And I was very happy that they became owners of the brand. There were doubts, lots of doubts. There were weak moments. There was time where I couldn't go on. But these believers just said, hey, listen, stop. We are going to do it. We're going to get it right. Don't think like that. They came to my rescue.
Well, what an overwhelming journey it's been. I joined Future Group, and then it was time to get the show on the road. From traveling around the world in the bylanes of fabrics at Guangzhou to Seoul to wherever, to talking to customers and all over the country, to setting up a design office in London, all in 90 days, 3 months. You know, the pace of it, but it couldn't have happened anywhere but for Future Group. Today is 13th of April. I stand before you sharing my story. It's the anniversary. Tomorrow, Cover Story turns 1. And I must tell you, 13th of April, I didn't sleep. I just couldn't sleep. We did up the store. We opened our first concession in central Gurgaon of Cover Story on 14th of April. And, you know, it was like planning a party, getting the food right, getting the drinks right, everything right, but then worrying whether the guests would turn up. You know, it was nerves, butterflies, what have you. You know what? They did. They did, and they keep coming. Lots of lovely, lovely customers who tell us, we love you. And it's been fantastic. And now, from our first store, June 2016, 40 doors, 20 cities in 12 months, and I still get the butterflies. Every new store. Will they come? Will they buy? I don't get any sleep even now, and I don't think I will in the near future, because for us, it's just the beginning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Manjula. So just another one about Manjula,
Yeah.
Harish, is that, you know, it's not just about a dream.
Yeah.
It's also making sure somebody else dreams along with you.
Yes.
And I think that was something that she actually brought out very clearly. And the other part she talked about was how she managed to spread the ownership. While it was her idea, she managed to get her entire team to actually believe in that idea.
Sure.
And for her, every store is like the birth of a new child, lots of expectation. And I think those are some of the things that we can see.
Yeah.
So from the first store to
20 stores.
20 stores.
Coming.
Great job.
Lovely.
Thank
Give her a
you.
big hand, please. Thank you, thank you.
So the next speaker that we have is Abhishek Ganguly, Puma. And he epitomizes the brand. So if you look at it, he's got everything Puma on him.
Yes, thanks.
Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I am first a rider. I'm neither an inspirational speaker, nor a management guru, nor a leadership coach, and nor am I talking to you about certain disruptions. I'm sorry. But I'm going to talk to you about some life lessons of mine over the years, which might be very relatable to you. And on that front, lo and behold, I want to talk to you about my failures. Some 4 failures of my life. Everyone fantasizes about their first job. It's a dream. It's like your first love. My first job, after having taken a lot of interviews post my graduation, was to sell AMC of printers. Can you beat that? Who does that? Then, after I did that job, I went to IIM Lucknow. Luck smiled for me for some time. And there, I was one of the lowest rankers, the lowest grade point averages in the entire batch. Closer to work, the third thing, when we started Puma in India, about 10 years back, our first year was full of mistakes, full of failures. We thought that the best way to succeed would be to look around, look at successful organizations, hire people from there, look at some industry practices, best practices, put them in, and all of them failed. And the fourth one is a very personal thing of mine. I really sucked at sports and fitness when I was growing up, and I could not relate to it. I have never been a sports guy. I've never seen a fitness center probably till my first 22 years of my life. So what I'm trying to say is that a lot of people say failures are pillars of success, and I think it's very glorified. I think, in my opinion, failures remain with you. They stick to you. They are your moments of truth, which actually inspire you for redeeming your life in future. And I'm going to tell you a bit about some of these failures that I had and what impact it led in my life. First and foremost, when I was selling door-to-door printer AMC contracts, and in fact, I was looking for printers door-to-door and looking for faulty printers, to be precise. And today, when I look back on that life of mine, I see that I don't belittle any work. The very fact that my management style today is very hands-on probably has to do with that. And I also realize that irrespective of the job that you do, the company that you work for, there is a large part of your work which is very mundane, repetitive. So let's say it's 70% for me, and it might change for everyone. The rest 30% is the more creative juice and the strategic and the innovative work that you do. But all of us today have to do certain mundane, repetitive job, and that's the balance that is required in professional life. And I related back to what I did when I had failed getting a great first job. Second, I landed myself in IIM Lucknow, esteemed colleagues, great people from IITs, from the best colleges in the world, and I was very happy. And I realized, after some time, I had probably the lowest grade point averages among a lot of us. Today, when I look back, again, it gives me the great feeling, the inspiration, that irrespective of how great a company you have and how great an idea you have landed yourself, unless and until you yearn for success, success is not going to come. I did not yearn for success at my academics at IIM, and that really showed in my performance. Today, I know that it is not a great idea, it's not a great private equity investment on a great business idea which makes it successful. Otherwise, everyone would be. It is how desperate and how much you yearn for success. And that's a learning, comes from my, back in the days, failure at IIM. Not failure, I passed, but I just. The third thing, the failure, when we started Puma, one of the last entrants in the space of sports, actually the last entrant, about a decade back in 2006. And when you look back today, we're the market leaders, the biggest brand, global brand in sports and lifestyle, the first to reach profitability in 3 years' time, one of the most exciting brands. However, when we look back into our first year, and I remember, I thought the best way to succeed would be to look at the market leader, hire 2-3 people from there, look at the trade terms and business norms in the best companies around, and that leads to success. Unfortunately, that doesn't. Your success depends on the stage that your brand is, and you have to charter your own success and not follow the reasons of success for somebody else. At the end, it's about sports and fitness. I was never up to it. But I realized that one cannot lead a leading sportswear in the country, a sportswear brand in the country, without relating to the consumer. And I turned it around, and today I take my young people in my office to task on every kind of sports that they play, and I take it very passionately. I have enjoyed sports and fitness like never before. So whenever I look back and think I was not an athlete, it pushes me that much harder. At the end, I would like to tell you this, that people say, forget your past, forget failures, get on with life. I would say, keep your failures. They are your moments of truth. They should live within you till one's death. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek. That was inspiring and influencing.
We have Alok Dubey.
Yeah.
Alok is the CEO of Arvind Lifestyle Brands. So we know that this is an Arvind-dominated conference. So
Only the speaker room is dominated by Arvind. I think this is dominated by you. And many of you who don't know me, just brief introduction, I started my career with the Times of India. Joined Viju's, he was my first guru. Worked with Titan for 10 years. I joined as a sales officer. Raised levels in my life. Today I am CEO to many, but to my team I am a CE bro. Okay, so let's start. So as I said, I started my career in Times and now I am with Arvind. It's been a journey of about 25, 26 years, actually slightly more. I've heard, two speakers before, but I'm going to do something different. I'm going to play two words, something and everything. And these are learnings of my life. The word something is sometimes we believe we have done everything, but there's another word with something, which is everything. Let us see what something and everything means, and these are my learnings. Let's start with an example of the brand that I started about 7, 8 years back. Some of the numbers that are there give a little introduction. 7 years, 48x is the top line increase, and 60x is the bottom line increase from the day we started. In just about 7 years, it's about a 750 crore brand today by numbers. What made it happen? Certain beliefs. The first one is outcome is something, but strategy is everything. We just followed a relentless strategy, never bothered about what the outcome will be. Outcome will follow. Sorry. We mix value proposition and business model. Value proposition is something. But unless you have an underlying business model, there is no value proposition. A lot of companies will keep on unboxing, but that's the fate they end with if there is no business model underlying a value proposition. That's my second learning in life. The third most important learning is working for dreams is something, but creating experiences together is everything. This is my team. This is from one of the famous outings that we did last year. Least attrition, we all work on creating experiences for consumers, for ourselves, for our company's bottom line. Building brands is something. Everybody here is building brands. But the most important thing is that living the brand yourself is everything. And I believe completely in that. Last but not the least, playing the game is something, but keeping an eye on the ball all the time is everything. Profit maximization is something, but happiness maximization is everything. Communication is something, but getting that connect from the communication is everything. And let me illustrate by playing a small ad. Hear the volume. I think many of you would have seen this, but the volume.
but not a single enemy.
So life is not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's all about learning to ride in the rain. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, Anand's story is, of course, the most inspiring story that many of you all might hear in a long, long while. So I'm sure he doesn't need any technological support to support a story. Come along.
Welcome, Anand.
Anand Daga, CEO of W.
So good evening, everyone. Actually, he said I don't need technology support. Actually, I am technologically challenged. So I thought, let me do what I can do best, speak without a PPT. First of all, thank you to all of you for attempting to listen to 20 of us back to back. It takes a lot of patience and resolve, not an easy job at all. So one fine morning, I got a call from Mr. Roy of Images, and he said, Anand, 5 minutes hai kya? I said, any time for you, sir. I didn't know this was the 5 minutes he was talking about, and it led me here. He was kind enough to suggest few topics to me. He said, Anand, why don't you talk about 5 blunders of your life? Or how about what you learned from your failures? Or yet about how you failed but never gave up. I think of all the people out here, he's convinced I am the best guy to talk about failures. But I knew people would be talking about failures, so I thought, let me share with you few lessons which I have learned from fewer successes that I have had. I think what can stop greater success is success itself. That's where we start feeling confident, we start feeling complacent, and I think it's very important to avoid this trap. And to do that, I follow my own little rule book, 6 cardinal rules, which keeps me going in my times of success. Rule number 1, selective focus. When the things are going great, there's an urge to do a lot more. You want to do new things all the time. I have people coming to me and saying, why don't you inverse W, make it M, and launch menswear? Or why don't you put W in a lowercase and launch kidswear? Guys, take initiatives. But I think one should choose the battles very, very carefully. And once you have chosen the battle to fight, fight it better than anyone else. Give it your 100% intent and intensity. Don't try to dilute your bandwidth beyond a point. The idea is to focus, focus, and focus. Rule number 2, being better than before. See, till a point in time, you will have competition to drive you. But if you are good, believe you me, there will be a time when you'll have no competition left to compete with. Your own self will become your competition. And then the goal is to beat your formal self every single day, every single time. That, to my mind, is path to excellence, to discover your own best version. Rule number 3, challenging status quo. अरे यार ये तो ऐसे ही होता है, ये तो हम कर चुके हैं, धूप में थोड़ी ना बाल सफ़ेद किए या कम किए, whatever, right? The point is we all use these phrases, but I think these are the very phrases which needs to be out of our dictionary sooner than later. Every great company, no matter how successful they were, if they have not reinvented themselves, they went downhill. We should have the courage and we should have the humility to challenge the very assumptions which has made us successful in the first place and think afresh all the time. Rule number 4, simplify complexity. I think when you are in a good run, and that was for long, you start finding things too easy, too simple. And at times, lack of complexity actually unsettles you. I think human mind is obsessed with the idea of complicating things. First we complicate things, then we find even more complicated solution. And then we say, ab maza aaya. I think the idea is to keep it simple. Simple solutions are most elegant, most effective. Life is already complex. Let's not complicate more. Rule number 5, constructive paranoia. If I come and tell you that I'm a paranoid, you'll say, this man needs help. But tell me, as managers, isn't it our fundamental duty to figure out what can go wrong? Especially when everything is going right, then the most logical event to follow is that something can go wrong. I think as managers, we need to have this anticipation, this intuition of figuring out what can go wrong and set it right even before that happens. It's said, success breeds complacency, complacency breeds failure, only a paranoid survives. Be alert, be aware. Last but not the least, will to win. See, there are two ways to look at success. One, how far you have come. Second, how far can you go? I would rather drive my car looking at the windscreen than the rearview mirror. Success you should be proud of, success you should celebrate, but there should be no success overhang. The fire in the belly has to ignite as strong as ever. And finally, as I sign off, you guys will have to judge for yourself whether these rules apply to you or not. See, something that has worked for me might not work for you guys. Or maybe they might. Your call. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Focus, focus, focus. 100% attention, focus, and energy is the key that you gave people today. And the will to win. That was marvelous. Thank you, thank you.
The other part of it, Harish, was about the fact that you shouldn't be happy with success. And I think that was the point that Anant was actually talking about, saying, while you might celebrate success, don't be complacent. Don't be happy. Make sure that you are prepared. And Andy Grove of Intel was the one who wrote that book saying, only the paranoid survive, which is just the fact that you're always fearful of what's going to happen to you, that you continuously keep improving.
True.
And now I think we're going to switch genders, and we're going to have on stage Apeksha Patel, who's the CEO of Deal Women's Wear and E2O Bags. Apeksha.
First of all, good evening, all ladies and gentlemen. Adam Lindsay once said, life is mostly froth and bubbled. Only two things stand like stone: kindness in another's trouble and courage in your own. This quote sums up the essence of what I'm going to speak today. Today, standing here in front of you all, I would like to take this opportunity to share my little story. A story of a journey of finding my grace. In my yesteryears, I was often asked, what's your background? And no matter what I would say or what I would do, I was often acknowledged as my father's daughter or my husband's wife. This would really agitate me. I had this gnawing drive to make my own name. I started working when I was 18 years old. From that age to this, I have been working in Deal Jeans. I have handled various departments in Deal Jeans, right from designing to marketing, to production, to sales, to accounts. I've done all kind of job there. I've done ledger records, done payment follow-ups. I've even done dispatches, sitting in go down with little rats running here and there with all kind of male staff. I've even shown samples to the dealers. I've done it all. But again, in spite of all this hard work, I was always recalled as my husband's wife, and not for who I am or what I was doing. This really brought in lots of anger and too much of aggression in me to prove myself. Passion took over all the emotions in me. I forgot that I'm working with humans and not machine, because all this had made me so aggressive. I forgot that I'm not a machine, and I have a family out there, and I have a little son at home. We worked from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m., and sometimes, in fact, many times, till late in the night, and sometimes even till early mornings. I needed empathy myself. Therefore, I lost my ability to empathize others. I don't remember much of my elder son's childhood since I've not spent much time with him. All this really made me a frustrated person. During that phase, I was very fearful, and my basic energy became that of distrust, and fear just captured me. Lack of appreciation and recognition had made me a very bitter, arrogant, and rude person. In 2011, I just left. I left everything right there and then I had in my hand, and I just left Deal Jeans, and I said, I'm never gonna come back. 1 year, I did nothing. I just spent time with my son and made peace with myself. After 1 year, I decided to work again. But this time, I created my own company, E2O Fashion, a handbag brand. Later on, my husband wanted me to join Deal Jeans again. He badly needed me. I had just left. But this time, I joined Deal Jeans as a CEO and not as his wife. I'm very happy of the fact that now I'm acknowledged as CEO of Deal Jeans as well as creator of E2O Fashion. In my journey, I've learned few things. We all do mistakes, and it's okay to do mistakes. What is not okay is to repeat the mistakes. I believe success is celebrating the idiot that we all are. The humility is in saying, oh, I have a long way to go. Thank you.
Well said, Apeksha.
Great, lovely, lovely spoken of India. Thank you.
Purpose to passion or passion to purpose, and create a new identity which you now respect and which people respect.
And I think, when we all talk about our lives, it takes a lot of courage for us to dig deep into our own lives and to be able to pull out some of those inner memories and share that. What we traditionally tend to do is to be able to share the outer visible persona that we are, what we've done. But to be able to go back and, reflect on what's been going through my heart, what's been going through my mind, and then trying to understand whether I am in sync with that or not, I think takes a lot of courage. And Apeksha, thank you very much for sharing those inner stories. The next speaker that we have is Avnish Kumar from Neeru's Ensembles, Hyderabad. I'm not sure why we have, we have Anand selling women's clothing, we have Avnish selling women's clothing.
It actually relates to what you're saying right now. So I'm being a bit selfish and not going to speak about me or the struggles or all of that. I'm going to speak about my industry.
Great,
so I think
lovely.
Couldn't
Give
have
us an
gotten all of
insight
these
about
guys.
why all of you guys are selling women's clothing.
Exactly. I think we couldn't get all of them together in one hall. So I think it's one of the bigger challenges to get all of them together. So I think I would take this as an opportunity rather than talking about myself or the company and more about the industry ethnic. So I think, I remember, Biju, we were there a couple of days back. I met him at the World Retail Congress in Dubai. And we were actually interacting with a certain amount of people from the industry of retail. And there was one gentleman that I came across. He was on stage talking about luxury. And somebody asked him, why aren't luxury brands, coming to India? And why is luxury very slow to India and all of that? So he had a very fancy answer to it. He said, the luxury that world has is not enough luxury for India because India has much more luxury than what the world has to offer. So I was amazed. And then eventually he gave an example that a lady in India, for her, Louis Vuitton bag or XYZ brand bag isn't luxury, but luxury to her is to buy a $10,000 sari, and that made my collar up, and I said, now I'm representing ethnic, and someone on stage in Dubai on a retail congress of the world is talking about something like that, that's fancy, and I belong to that kind of industry where I'm coming from. So that gave me a lot of push. But then again, at the back of the mind, I was thinking there are a lot of people that we meet, a lot of friends of ours sitting here, the real estate guys, the mall developers and all of that. A couple of years back, we remember we used to struggle telling them that we need to get a space in your mall. And they used to say, do you have an ethnic zone? We want in the ethnic zone. They're like, ethnic zone? Baba, we have ground floor for international brands, first floor menswear, second floor ladies. Yeah, we have one or two ethnic, we'll place you there. So that was the end of story for ethnic wear at that time. So, and today we see the kind of space ethnic wear is sharing in the whole of Indian retail space. So I think that journey took a long time from recognizing that to this, what ethnic is today in India. So I think ethnic is spread across. It has been misunderstood by a lot of people. Ethnic is the craft behind a certain kind of a product, a commodity or something of that sort. It comes probably a fabric from Banaras or a sari from Kanjivaram or a person weaving some cottons in Ahmedabad or hardcore printing happening in Jaipur or probably the embroideries in Calcutta or probably the China of India, which is pricing from Surat. So, there's a whole array of things that makes ethnic wear what it is today, and ethnic is a mix of all of that. So we at Neeru's, by the way, when I talk about Neeru's, so we are a 45-year-old legacy which is being carrying forward, and I'm being the second generation to this since the past couple of years in my journey with the company. And it's been a whole lot of journey because we started off with a small setup from the 1970s and so on and so forth, and today being having a presence with over 55 to 60 EBOs and MBOs pan-India. But the whole journey was fine, it was all fancy. But then the whole thing I recognized that time was, what about ethnic as a subject? So to answer that, we all sat together and we planned two most luxurious and flagship stores of Neeru's, which we called as Neeru's Emporio in Hyderabad, in Jubilee Hills and Banjara Hills. Jubilee Hills is like the Beverly Hills, so it's quite cool to be at. And a nice retail space as well. So, something like the Fifth Avenue. So Jubilee Hills, where we had each being about 40,000 to 30,000 to 40,000 square feet of space and selling XYZ, everything A to Z of ethnic. So that's how much you can fill ethnic in you. And which is what drove me and the whole team of Neeru's to make this ethnic space as the aspirational space and not just to be considered one unorganized sector in India where there are a lot of people, regional and national, struggling to be there, but struggling to have that niche in the market and to be called as organized people. We have a lot of friends from Puma, national brands and all of those, but then we are not as organized as what we are called as, but today the time is changing. And I think with Neeru's, this is what we are looking at, to be more aspirational than just being just another brand in the retail space. After the flagship stores and all of that, seeing the growth of the whole ethnic wear industry, and we see a lot of these investors coming in and fancying this journey of ethnic wear in the past 1 or 2 years. Mr. Bijou also being part of some of them and rating it to certain levels. I think today ethnic is sexy. It's become the subject of India. I think the retail is coming up. We are now considered as those people when we enter a mall. Sir, we have an ethnic zone. These are the brands. We can give you a space here. We know what ethnic is. We know the per square feet. We know this, that, and XYZ, all about ethnic wear. And that's what gives us the push to do more at the brands. And nowadays, when we are moving ahead, we hear a lot of this term, because what I feel is, we heard another phrase, that is change or you will be changed. So today we are all talking about, and I'm not talking about the change of online or omni-channel or something, I'm talking about the practical change, that is the millennials. The word existing today is millennials. So I think for some of them, millennials between 18 to 35 or something of that sort. So these people who aspire to wear all the West fashion, Today, we want them to identify what the grace of ethnic is, to take it further in their future life and adopt this as fashion as well, because I repeat it again, ethnic is sexy, ethnic is the next thing, and we are going to do a lot of fusion wear, a lot of ethnic fusion wear, which is going to come up not just at Neeru's, but a lot of our friends and family here belonging to the retail space. And let us change your mind by saying ethnic is the thing that's going to be there as an organized sector in the retail space in India. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Avneesh. Great job.
Good evening, everyone.
Ganesh is the founder and CEO of Style Lumia, and Ganesh and I go back over several decades, in fact, from some stint in the past to being ex-colleagues at Reliance Retail, and then he jumping off the dark edge and joining up Myntra at that stage, and now, of course, started on his own.
Thanks, Biju. This is about my story. It's 24 years of my professional experience distilled in 5 minutes. I'll try and see if I can do that in 5 minutes. I was asking this question: if I were to interview the 25-year-old of myself today, will I recruit this guy? I wouldn't. I'm going to share with you why I would not recruit this guy, what insights I got in the last 24 years in the next few minutes. I'm not great at drawing, but if you see, I hope you are seeing 3 circles. And this is how I started to construct my career. Fresh out of college, the first thing which was on top of my mind was, let me get to a reputed company. Work very hard, get to a reputed company because I want to have a good name with my peers. Of course, I want to earn good salary. That's one of those circles. 4 years went. And just to tell you what this company was, I was working in a company making sewing thread. Fiber to sewing thread was my first company. After 4 years, I asked a question, what next? One of the people, my superiors, who left from this company, went to another company, became the CEO. And he was building an international venture. And he said, Ganesh, I'll take you to Italy and you'll be staying in Italy for 6 months. Exciting. Never traveled abroad. What an excitement. And that's the reason I switched my career from this company to the second company and went to Italy, stayed there. 4 years went. The second company was making thread to fabric. The third company, I was asking myself this question, what next? I said, let me work with people who have made it right now. I started to see companies in Bangalore and doing extremely well. People from Aditya Birla left and started a startup venture. It was on cover page in Business India and many other magazines. I wanted to be part of this success story. That's my third circle. I went and joined that company to head supply chain. And this company was doing fabric to ready-made garments. It was all looking some logic by default, fiber to garment. I had no clue why I moved from one company to another company in these 12 years. Moving on. The next slide I'm going to show you actually is the turning point of my career. That is when one of my superiors recommended very early, some 12, 13 years back, Ganesh, read this book. This book tells you why consumers really buy. Because that was the first time that I moved into retail. I was in the back end of supply chain in fashion. I was reading this book, and there are enough number of ideas in this book of why people come and which direction they turn and all of that. Leave the insights. This was the first time in my life that I was reading the book and actually questioning, is what Paco Underhill says is true or not? Till then, for 12 years, I was just saying yes to everything of my boss. I was a fantastic performer. But the question is, I never challenged what they told me. This was the first time I said, if Paco says people turn left, I wanted to actually figure out if they really turn left in India. I was working in a retailer. What I used to do is every week spend few hours, go to the shop floor, take chapter by chapter and say, if they turned left in America, do they turn left in India? For each of the rules, I made my own rule book. But I can tell you, I was listening to all the experts, my superiors, colleagues. Many of those expert assumptions weren't true. First time in my life, I realized that, Ganesh, it's time for you to challenge all assumptions. For this is the second stage of my career. I started to see what should I do next. I started to pencil around and see, is there a shape emerging in my career? The thing which really came out was, I lost myself in understanding why people do what they do for the first time in my career. And thinking about that further, what I really found was, anything going closer to customer is something that I really loved. So I moved from branded industry to retail industry. And then I said, I want to study this in international level. So I worked in the largest company in the world. Then I said that moving closer to customer, let me join a company which is direct to consumer. So from Walmart, I moved to Myntra in very early stages when the company was $20 million. Now, started to see some more clarity in my career now. I said, no more I'm dependent on credibility of which company I work with. I can start to create something on my own. Confidence started building up. Slowly, you start to see this elephant shaping up. Let me skip this for want of time. Now, what I really want to share with you clearly is that if you ask me today, I'm running a company called Stylumia, which is an artificial intelligence company, started my career in spinning yarn. If I look back, I can't even connect the dots. Right? Now, if you see, the bottom line is reality. If you assume that the reality of my career was the bottom line, my experience is what the years I've spent throughout my last 24 years. Now, that's a small dot in the overall reality. For it has been proved in science that whatever we can experience as a human being is, at any moment, is 11 million bits per second, as we are sitting in this room. But the conscious attention that each one of you can pay right now, each one of us, is just 40 bits per second. Imagine this. On this attention that we have paid in our life, we start to make assumptions, judgments, and create beliefs. Whenever we say, we think what we say is right, is based on this small needle of attention. For what I want to say is that I could not connect where I am right now from where I was. And the kind of guy I used to be, I would not recruit because he never had his own point of view. Today I'm standing here, I think I have a point of view, but I can tell you this is also based on the small needle sitting on that experience. To sum up, the dream that I have for the future is, using Stylumia, we really want to capture reality. Reality from a consumer perspective, 360 degrees globally, and equip and enable every fashion brand and retailer in the world, delivering what consumers really want. Now, there can't be anything to sum up better than this. There is a crack in everything, and that is how the light seeps in. For I used to be a very good manager. In the initial part of my career, I took 12 years to realize that I should have a point of view. Just to sum up, discover your own crack. It's important. I took 12 years, maybe done much faster. Have the courage to be imperfect. Don't try to please your boss. I did 12 years doing that. Be a student always, because what we know is a minuscule of reality. Continue to learn. And let's give whatever we have to everybody and seep in through their cracks and enlighten them. We all deserve to have a fantastic, fulfilling professional career. That's about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ganesh.
Thank you.
Lovely.
While that elephant is
The small circles became a big fat elephant.
That's true.
And now he's looking for the crack. And he's showing us all that there is a space. You all need to find it out. He has found his.
Needle in the haystack.
Yes. Thank you. That was quite inspiring, Ganesh.
Thank you, Ganesh. While the elephant is great, you certainly remain as young as what I remembered of you 10 to 12 years back. The The next speaker that we have is Lalit Agarwal.
Good evening. The last time that I was given a deadline, time-based examination was when I was appearing for IIT. So, and then I miserably failed. So, anyway, not a good thing for me. I'd just like to give you an insight about the journey that I had since my childhood. Have the patience to understand and listen that. So, trying to work right now on customer service orientation and retail creativity. I was born in Kolkata, 1970. Had a joint family where small flat of 500 square feet, 20 people used to live there. The first retail business my father started in 1975, opened a tailor shop in Kolkata. He moved to Orissa, post that, gave that shop to my father's elder brother. From there, I was a 9-year-old kid, used to, when I moved to Orissa with my father, spend a lot of time in his shop, trying to understand nitty-gritties of business, be present in the shop when he was around, outside, going for some shopping and stuff, attending customers, learning business right there. Moved to Mumbai post that. In my entrepreneurial journey, I did, while studying MBA, college education, I did set up a printing and packaging unit in Mumbai. Did some lot of stuff in opening a 5 lakh business, taking a 5 lakh business to a 2 crore turnover in the first 10 year of my business career. Moved to Kolkata in 1999. Also experimented opening or creating a water theme park along with a cousin. My retail journey, we started organized retail store with a brand in Kolkata, and then set up the chain of that value retail, which was later called Vishal Mega Mart. But later on, with some differences, I quit it there. In 2003, launched the first V-Mart store in Ahmedabad. So today we are there with 141 stores across 120 cities with almost 1.15 million square feet area, covering 14 states. What we are targeting, the basic bottom part of the pyramid, if you look at the Indian socio-economic condition, the biggest and the aspirational segment and the middle income group, where the target income group is like 2 to 10 lakhs of rupees per month, which is small tier 2, tier 3 city, district level population, either a town with around 1 lakh of population or a district covering almost 1 million or a 1.5 million customer base. This is the huge population that we see India where value consumption is lying. And this is what we thought that we can create some creativity. We can bring in some retail creativity here. And what I think creativity or what we think creativity is, the capability of or an act of conceiving something original, or unusual, which people have not been doing. Apart from this, this is what I believe is trying to act on something that you have been seeing around or whatever opportunities you've got. So what we try to do here is try to lay out our vision, very clear-cut vision, make people believe on our vision, a vision like create value for the whole ecosystem, who is around you. And they should be proud of what you are doing. They should be proud of what they're if they're attached to you or if they're aligned with you, they should be proud that they know you. So we try to share our vision to the whole ecosystem, try to create a communication channel. Every time try to have an open communication channel, either to our own team or to our ecosystem and to the customer base, which created a trust. And through that trust, because trust is very important, and till the time you don't have trust, you'll not be able to service or you'll not be able to create that ecosystem. And through that trust, we wanted to give customer service. And then Customer service, because ultimately customer can only get serviced when our team member have a trust on our philosophy and our own thoughts or on our own vision. And that led to a retail creativity model which ultimately improved your retail sales performance. This is what we believed in. And so this is what we want to do through catering the aspirations of growing fashion needs or providing them by a good buying experience and keeping the cost low. So here, once again, we try to create value through different methodology, either it be distribution model or it be technology adoption or trying to create value through financial means by leveraging our own, initially through friends and relatives and by private equity, or then going to the market, getting listed on the exchanges and raising funds. But trying to be proud of creating an ecosystem which has 5,500 people working with us, which has over 1,000 vendors supplying to us, which has 2.5 crore customer coming to our shop floor, trying to create a market cap of 1,600 crores, create a turnover of 1,000 crore right now. So, trying to raise this whole ecosystem, bring value and create value for everyone, and just on the model of trust, delegation, and bringing in connection, bringing in pure connection and relationship, which can once again give you back. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Creating value.
Lalit's being very modest, must stand on stage. I don't think he's really talked about his larger vision. Yesterday, we spent some time doing a little bit of maths about what is the average per capita expenditure on garments in this country. And we figured out that for a population of 120 crores, we have a market which is about 250,000 to 300,000 crores, which gave us an average of about between 2,000 to 2,500 rupees per capita per person, per capita per year. Now you can discount some, maybe 25-30% of them are kids who probably not get the chance to buy new clothes, but will end up getting hand-me-downs. But even if you were to discount all of that, what we're saying is 5,000 rupees per capita is what we spend. Lalit actually has seen that potential. And when he started his business, he went on to say that, I don't want to compete with the people in the large towns, because that's not my market. I'm going to go to the small towns. I'm going to go to the places where people from villages will come and buy from me. And that is the kind of business model I want to create, because demand exists there. And I don't want to be in the competitive large town space, but I prefer to be where the opportunities, which is in small towns. And that's the success
of the belief here is that every human being who lives on this earth needs at least 2 pairs of clothes.
Correct.
And today, aspirations are everywhere. They watch similar media, they watch similar television. Even a farmer's son in a village would want to is viewing the same media, is looking at the similar channels, is looking at the similar movies, has the same role model, but doesn't have the pocket to follow those aspirations. So if you can provide those product lines, add those and meet those aspirations, add the value which he can make it affordable, I think that's where the business lies. And then there's a huge population in India which is aspirational and which wants to consume and consume more.
Thanks, Lalit.
Brilliant. That was lovely. Thank you for creating value in the people in the audience today. Thank you.
So the next we have on stage is Manuviraj Khosla. Manuviraj Khosla is a designer. To that extent is the only introduction that he actually requires. But more importantly, he's a Bangalore boy, if you were to call him that. He's been the face of Kingfisher, and one of his most challenging design assignments was actually about designing the swimsuits for the models on the Kingfisher calendar, because he had to take so much effort to make sure that he got it exactly in the right spot. So, Manuviraj, come on stage.
I wish that was all I was ever going to do. Hi, I'm Manuviraj Khosla. I'm here from Bangalore. I'm a designer. I got into this business in 1990, having studied at the Doon School, where I was a disaster as far as studies was concerned. I decided to go into the fashion business. and wanted to study fashion at a time when fashion really didn't exist in India. It was sort of in its infancy. A couple of people were getting into the business, and I've actually convinced my parents to let me study fashion. So having done my BCom in Calcutta, I went to London, studied fashion, came back, and set up my own studio in Bangalore in 1990. Why Bangalore? I have absolutely no idea. But that's where I went, and that's where I am till today. Over the years, so these are just pictures like over the years. There's nothing which is actually sort of the latest collection or anything like that. We started experimenting and trying to do different things. My forte, I realized, was menswear. And I mean, we do women's wear as well, but menswear was sort of where my heart and my soul was. And so over the years, we experimented with different sort of looks with menswear. And when I started out this business, I started in a little apartment in Bangalore, which was lying around free. And with an investment of, I think, about 25 or 30,000 rupees, I hired one tailor and one master cutter, and that's exactly where we started. Made a few shirts, made a few pants, sold them to the 1 or 2 designer stores which were available in there, which had just actually opened in India. One in Delhi, one in Bombay, and that's where sort of the business started growing from. And these were sort of just, over the years, sort of tried to experiment and, see what we could really do with menswear. So, whether it was layering, texturing, weaving different fabrics, playing around with laser cuts, all this is sort of different sort of stuff which we kept sort of doing over the years. What actually then also became a lot of fun was, not just doing clothes for, individuals. We also started saying, let's, get into uniforms. Okay, so I think that slide's obviously later. What we're now doing a lot is, and which is now my new favorite thing to do, is shoes. Again, right now we're only doing men's shoes. We haven't got into women's shoes as yet. This is only something which I started about 10 months ago. I had started this earlier on. Actually, in 95, I actually set up a joint thing with Kingfisher, and we decided to start a range of breadth, sporty, edgy clothing. Launched it with a lot of fanfare, became a sort of big thing, but somehow I think the brand Kingfisher, it was too early, 25, 30 years ago to actually sell clothes under the Kingfisher brand name. And we sort of did it for a bit, but it never really took off, and so we actually shut it. We actually started even a shoe line at that point of time, which we then retailed through Metro. But again, we just realized that as with a brand, Kingfisher, clothes and fashion was just not taking off till we really sort of rethought the entire business model of it. Finally, to cut a long story short, we actually just shut it down. So now I've started shoes again, and this is sort of high-end menswear stuff, really party clothes, party shoes. And another thing which I really love doing a lot is uniforms. I've always found that it's very important for people in any establishment, whether it's a hotel, a restaurant, a corporate house, whatever, to really look good. These are just some of the things we had done. We did this for the ITC Gardenia for their Japanese restaurant, making it look really edgy, making it look fun, and something which sort of gave an identity. This was something we did for the Park Hotel chain. This was one of my favorite things, Kingfisher Airlines. The whole look was to make it look really cool, make it look something which sort of went with the brand. And I think one of the nicest thing that happened after this was when Jet Airways actually changed their entire uniform and went to the current yellow jackets and sort of took out hoardings all over Bombay and Delhi and Bangalore saying we've changed, and Kingfisher Airlines took out the hoarding right on top of it saying we made you change, and I said I made them change. So that was like really a fun thing to do. This was just some stuff which we did for all the cheerleaders at IPL. This we did for the Himalaya group. Again, using a lot of their logos, using basically their sort of look, so that if you ever walked into any sort of store, a multi-brand store, you wanted something from Himalaya, you knew exactly who to go to because it was so obvious who the Himalaya girl was. This we did for the Royal Orchid group of hotels, again, using a lot of their logos, and that flower is actually what their logo is, and we developed the entire print around that. and did saris out of that, did ties out of that, did shirts out of that, and sort of mixed and matched it with, various other things. This was a bar called Comatose, very hip, and another restaurant called Jonathan's Kitchen. This we did for the Trident Group, again, a huge, they're the biggest towel manufacturers in India. And this was for all their factory workers and everything. So basically, stuff that needed to look cool, where the person who's wearing it needed to be happy in it, needed to be comfortable in it, and at the same time, it needed to be really, really functional. This we did for the Hilton Group. Again, edgy, lots of rivets and stuff like that. This was for Force India, for all their girls, which again, we changed over the years. And that was that. And that's my 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Inspiring story, how to create something special out of uniforms. I'm sure those people are going to wear it with pride. Thank you very much. That was very nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Manu. Okay, the next speaker that we have is actually, it's a duet of Mohita and Manu from 6112 League.
Hi, I'm Manu Indrayan, co-founder and CEO of 612 League. And standing with me is my wife, Mohita, my fellow co-founder of 612 League. So when we got this invite to do a TED Talk in this session, they said that, you're a combination of NIFT and IIM. So, Mohita is from NIFT and I'm from IIM. So do something which is, which says NIFT and IIM together. So I was just racking my brains, what is the story that I can do which brings in the NIFT and IIM? And then Mohita just walks up to me and says, hey, that's a no-brainer. Let's do Beauty and the Beast. So, so that's how we just... Okay, so our story, this is a little story about, as all stories start, not long time ago, there was a smart and acceptably modern young girl with a bow in her head and a little polka dot skirt. You know her, and her too. And many of us recognize this, and of course, many of us have ended up like this. And in due course, the world changed. Our kids started dressing like this, and this, the little men and the little princess. Ethnic became uber cool and uber elegant.
So kids wear has become increasingly complex from a simple world that we lived in where our childhood was all about family, school, little doses of entertainment in the form of some Doordarshan, and a lot of free outdoor play. Today, our kids are tablet trained before they're toilet trained. So the world is their playground, and influences are Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and whatnot. And their popularity is measured by how many Insta followers they have, or how many likes do they get on their pictures within minutes of posting it. But having said that, each age group within kidswear has their own unique characteristics. So the cute infants and toddlers, where everything is very coordinated, pink is for girls and blue is for boys, and the primary factors are safety and comfort. And then we come to the kids, the 3 to 6-year-olds, the one who just step into play dates or play groups or kindergarten, and they live in a world, a make-believe world, where their world is around fairy tale characters, cartoons, and they love to show off their talent. So the little ballet performance or the little Indian Idol kind of singing, that's what their world is made up of. And then the preteens, the most complicated of all. They start formal schooling, or as we call them, the primary school kids. They have a mind of their own. They are miniaturized, fashionable little adults and lead a super active lifestyle. And then we come to the teenagers. God bless all of us who have them at home. The iGens, or the digital natives, they have a limited attention span, which is about 8 seconds. And they say, if it's the parent who is the attention object, it could be 0 to 2 seconds. And they are firm believers of equality and socially very, very aware and conscious. So kids' world is today has kids who are very aware of what is happening around them. They believe they can have it all, and they feel that they know it all. So therein lies the beauty of kidswear fashion, where we deal with two unique principal consumers, the child, who we just talked about, and the parent, most cases the mother here. And with the children, the parents have also evolved. Today we have more hands-on daddies, and the soccer moms of the 1990s today have now taken the shape of a social mom who beautifully curate their family's life and present it to the world. But the parents still have some age-old beliefs which they believe in and would like to pass it on to the children. So here we have a child who's fashion-forward, who wants trendiness, who's inspired by celebrity fashion, wants to create their own self-image, and a parent who's not opposed to trendiness, but still believes in the age-old characteristics of affordability, quality, and comfort. So kidswear thus sits in the unique zone of needing to be trendy, modern, fashionable, cool, yet adhering to the core values that appeal to the parents. So, in a way, we are wanting to bake that sinful, delicious chocolate cake with 0 calories. And the beauty of kidswear, when you understand the child, think like a mother, and the cherry on the cake is that you get a mention in all the family albums and in all the memories. But with the beauty of fashion comes the beast of business.
The beast of business. So as she mentioned, a lot of age-wise segmentation. So age-wise segmentation leads to a challenge of SKUs and production management. Now, being a management student, every time I look at this, I try to put Excel sheets around it, number of sizes, number of age categories. Then suddenly you look at knits, wovens, denims, etc. And then at the end of the day, then you realize Excel sheets are 2-dimensional. And kidswear fashion is 4-dimensional. So it's really hard to really just set it all in. And that, of course, and the other thing is that, every household presents a, opportunity to kidswear. And to reach each and every household, especially in a fragmented retail structure like in our country, leads to the whole challenge of channel management, which, of course, also leads to team management. Today, I would just, look at the consumer behavior. How is it evolving? Today, if I were to, communicate with my kids, it's the best thing I can do is just send them a WhatsApp message. They will instantly reply. Because if I try and make them a phone call, more often than not, I don't get to, any reply there. And then, of course, there are multiplicity of channels leading to communication management. And at the top of the pyramid is, of course, the challenge of pricing, because kids outgrow and this factor can never be overlooked. So what happens when beauty meets the beast? A brand is created. A brand with a retail footprint of 500 doors across 150 cities within 6 years of its launch. And the most diversified product portfolio. A strong digital presence and technology leadership. By the way, we have just launched 612 Wonder Store, the first virtual store for kids, where it is something which is an engagement platform. You can, of course, try and buy merely through gesture control right in front of the screen. That's something. We have digital properties like 612 Genie, Icon, and a state-of-the-art infrastructure. A brand which we have redefined market segmentation. It's very important to actually recognize each of these age groups independently. You cannot just club them together and treat them as one single whole. So you need a differentiated product offering, and I just hurry this up. So true kidswear business is really about the beauty and the beast. It's just like the 18th century fairy tale where the imprisoned prince was really set free by the true love. The beast of kidswear business can actually be tamed by understanding the true beauty of kidswear fashion. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. We saw the true combination of beauty and the brain, and beautifully manifested by both of you. Very well done. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. And following that duet, we have another duet. And the next duet is Priyadarshini Rao and Jaideep Shetty.
Hi, I'm Priyadarshini Rao.
I'm Jaideep Shetty, and together we run 2 labels in our company. One of them is the designer label Priyadarshini Rao. The other one is Mineral, which is a high street elevated casual brand.
Okay. Do you recognize these brands, these people? I'm sure all of us in this room do. We want to be like them, we want to act like them, we want to do the kind of fashion that they make, and we want to be rich like them.
Well, everyone can't be Zara, everyone can't be Uniqlo, everyone can't be H&M. And I think the problem is all of us have used these as reference brands onto which we want to grow. We believe there are lots of smaller brands, maybe smaller in size, but brands with a lot of soul, and they are as prestigious, they have the same cachet, and I think most importantly, they have a lot of soul. And these are the brands that we look up at. You know, sometimes we wonder, because there's always this huge pressure about wanting to be large, wanting to be a large-scale brand, and at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, one has to think of what is it that you want to do, yeah? Do you want to do something because everybody else sees value in it, or is it something that you believe in? So we have a few pieces of advice, in our humble opinion, for fashion professionals, and we will share them with you. Fashion, you know, we don't see it as a left-brain business. People look at fashion as, well, styles, assortments, a range created, and then a collection, and then this huge ERP in the sky, which is all going to stitch it up all together, and then we start running analytics, and this is how our business will grow. And I think this is exactly what's wrong with fashion in a lot of places, you know, because today I think fashion is about creating an identity, creating a concept, building a store around that concept, and communicating that identity to the customer. And that's why we believe fashion is really a right brain business.
Fashion actually is pretty much like the movie business, we believe. You know, Fridays are Judgment Day, and Mondays are when the dashboard actually shows you the numbers. So really, what is it that we can do to create that kind of the ideal business? Other than concept, there is also the execution that is so important. You know, logistics, production, things that I'm learning on, you know, on a daily basis every day being a designer. I realize that the execution is almost as important as the concept, if not more.
I think everyone shares successes, but I think earlier presentations also said there are lots of failures, and I think with every success come a lot of string of failures which should not dishearten you. The cheese is constantly moving, and if you're not moving along with that cheese, then you're going to go hungry.
You know, as we were growing our businesses, well, I can say 2 businesses in my case, but as we grew our business, we found a lot of people who were willing to give us free advice. And the one thing that we have learned is that free advice really is not what cuts it. You need to take advice from those who have skin in the game, and your game, not theirs.
For every successful retail chain globally started with one prototype and then they replicated it. You cannot start a business saying suddenly we're going to make this successful chain. And I think emotional belief and believing in your brand is very important. As important is to make sure that your employees believe it, and further on your customers believe it, your shareholder believes it. And that is something that Zara, H&M, and Uniqlo have done wonderfully.
Let's see again. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Okay, this is where, you know, we realized that for many years, Bollywood would decide the kind of fashion that we all wore. But today, that has changed a great deal. You know, we have a teenager and we see that things like videos, music videos, social content, peer group, these are the kind of things that decide the fashion of today. And hence, it's important for every brand to get fresher and edgier with every season.
You know, people and investors, when we were struggling entrepreneurs, we also had to do the rounds of VCs and PEs. And we spent a lot of time, you know, unnecessarily filling up Excel sheets, and they would say, where is your IRR? Show me the IRR. You know, and we spent all our time doing this with VCs and PEs. And these funds used to say, you know, this plan looks great, but boss, isme thoda online bhi karo, because, you know, we will fund it then, you know. This concept is great. And I think we spent a lot of time, you know, taking advice from people until, of course, we had a retailer who invested in our business. And I think when we actually got an investor into the business, the investor bought into the story and not into the statistics. You know, I think that is something we need to understand, that finally what sells in fashion is the concept. Yeah, Excel sheets all of us can do.
Peter Drucker has said this very clearly, that profit cannot be the purpose of your business. It can be a means for you to stay within the business. But the purpose of your business should be to make your customer happy and to give him everything that satisfies him much better than anybody else.
You know, we're becoming a planet of aesthetes, and I think people want to look good. Everybody's aware of image, and design plays a very crucial role. And I think a fashion company that does really well is someone that respects design. We also think we have this problem of associating leadership with size. You know, leadership is not size, because if leadership was size, then Rohit Shetty is the best filmmaker in India today, you know? And I think we need to start separating what is leadership and what do we want to do. Is this something that we are going to be proud of? Is this something that will bring the customer back? Making it large, dumping it on a product, and then replicating it and making it cheap is the easiest thing to do.
We're very lucky that we have talented people who believe in us. They're there not for the size of their of what they make alone, but they're there because they share the dream. They share the dream that, you know, mineral is what the future of fashion is going to be.
The future is going to be decided by heretics and not by prophets. That's all I would say here.
So watch more movies, eat out, breathe the air, swim in the sea, and that's where you'll get your inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Lovely.
Very well said. You have touched some hearts today by telling people, listen to those people who put their skin in the game.
Great. Lovely story. After the two duets, we have a solo presentation by Rahul. Rahul Jashnani is the managing director of a company which bears part of his surname, which is called Jashan.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Rahul Jashnani. I'm the managing director at Jashan. Thank you, Images, and thank you, everyone, for being here. This is the first time that I'm actually speaking in front of such a big forum. But I believe that until you don't face your fears, you don't move on to the other side where you find power. I believe every entrepreneur today is like a superhero. So my presentation here is based on my similarities or what I've learned from Iron Man. Survivability. The key ingredient to surviving is sheer willpower. Sometimes we have less resources and then we back off. Just because we are falling short of what? 5 or 6%? Sometimes you have to ignore the math and just go fly high. When I came to Mumbai, I did not have a house or an office. My Devu Mati sometimes served me as both. But the sheer will to create something beautiful and something that makes me happy has got me and the company to where we are. Evolution. Tony Stark believes in evolving. You have to get better every time. The lesson here is to keep on progressing. Don't stay still. Stagnation is a burden. Redesign, rethink. At Jashan, over the years, we progressed within the category from time to stay relevant to our customers. Right from selling the traditional sari in an unconventional way from brick-and-mortar stores to introducing the all-new Jashan Preth line, of which you will see a glimpse post my presentation, across all channels, India and internationally. An entrepreneur also has to self-learn from everything: events, competition, enemies, your experiences, as well as others' experiences. Experiences, good or bad, both are valuable. They always trigger us to reason, to think. We always need to employ strategic thinking prior to and after making a decision. We as a brand launched the ready-to-wear category, keeping the young audience in mind, and introduced our first exposure with Reliance Trends and Myntra, knowing that they're the largest in the business, and that will make us a sizable business overnight in brick and mortar and in the online space. Today, we are present with Reliance Trends in across 30 stores, and adding another 40 this coming fall, winter. We will be opening our first Jashan Pret franchisee model shortly, thereby increasing a network through franchising as well. To add to it, we are already there in our 60 stores of Jashan. A good leader sets time to be innovated. Taking a cue from Stark, I always try to take out time to develop new ideas for the benefit of the group. In our busy lives, we forget to appreciate the people you work with, live with, or spend the maximum time with. But remember who you people are. Love them, appreciate them from time to time. It'll make them feel good and you much better. I'm straightforward with the team, associates, and customers. This establishes trust. Be honest about your intentions and methods, because I believe people trust a transparent leader. And last of all, enjoy yourselves. Love what you do. Keep things light for both stressful situations and everyday tasks. It's important for you to enjoy what you do. This is our new range that we've introduced in all the stores now.
It's so lovely when it's sunny.
Thank you so much.
Yourself, love what you do, and be different. Thank you, thank you. Well done.
Thanks, Rahul. And we're coming towards the last quartile of this session, the last set of 5 speakers. May I request Vineet to come on stage? Vineet's, of course, a prolific speaker at many of the forums that we've had in the Fashion Forum, associated with bestseller, helped to start and build this brand in this country. And was also part of that very voluble table that was there during the previous panel discussion. Come, Vineet.
Thank you, Biju, for that introduction. It's so kind of you. Thank you, Amitabh, and thank you, Images, for giving this opportunity. I don't have a fancy presentation. I think I saw some very inspirational presentations. Next time, hopefully, I'll be better prepared. But I'll share with you a little bit about what I am and what is my core belief. I have not spent many years in retail, I think, but still the hairs have gone gray. But I'll say I'm the odd person out. From an education point of view, I don't understand fashion at all. Today also, if you give me 2 fabrics, I can't distinguish and tell you which is cotton and which is something else. But I passed out from hotel management some 18 years back, and during my course, during my career, during my education, I think I was an odd person there also. And the biggest thing which odd from my perspective was being daring. I think generally when you're in college, you don't want to dare too much. You want to take a good management trainee job and then join a company. And I decided that I don't want to do that. So I did not appear for any campus interviews. And those campus interviews are something like a dream job which everyone wants. So I think that dare started from there. Did a lot of stuff. I think I started my career as a dishwasher in a chain in Nirula's in Delhi. I think God has been kind, and I think more kind have been people who've worked with me. And I think that's where the entire 5 minutes is going to be spent on people. I think we speak about a lot of other stuff. But I think we forget that we are here on this stage because there are a lot of people backing us. I have a backing of 2,800 people in my organization. And I can tell you, when we started Bestseller, about 7 years, actually, I joined them 7.5 years back, we were almost written off from the first day. I think people said, there are a bunch of people who don't know what's going to happen. They're going to make a lot of losses, and this is going to be shut in a few days. It was tough to hire talent, But I started to hire odd people like me, and I'll give you a definition of odd at the last of what we believe our odd is. I think we've been successful to hire 2,700 odd people. The good thing has been that the initial odd people we hired, the first 40, out of which 36 people still work for us after 7.5 years. I think it's been a journey which has been very tough. To explain people, to tell them to dare to do something different has been very tough. When people were opening franchisee stores, we wanted to do 100% own retail. When people were shutting and reducing sizes of the stores, we went to mall developers and everyone and said, we want to open 200 square meter stores. It was tough to convince, I think a lot of people, but believed in what we could do. Our brands were relatively not known. I think that was a big dare for ourselves to start thinking that we will create a 1,000 crore company. We were 42 crores that year when we did the first team meet, and as we said, okay, what do we want to do? And I think unanimous decision was that if we reach 1,000 crore, we'll be very, very proud. And I think we will stand out in the retail industry. We said, okay, what time do we take? It was 2010, and we said 2015, 16, we want to be a 1,000 crore company. 2016, we did 1,000 crore as a business. And I think it is only possible of the sheer belief that this is possible in this country. And I think and I think some speakers said, people will give you a lot of advice, and we got a lot of advice. People discounted us. People said they don't understand retail. They don't understand fashion. But I think the team really believed in that goal. And I think one need to figure out which is that dream team. And we call it the dream team. Out of them, almost everyone is still with us. The dream team believed in one thing, which was that we will go and deliver this to stand out in the market. That's been our journey. During the journey, I think a lot of people joined in. We added about 2,600 people. And I think the bigger part of our job has not been to create fashion stores. It's not about buying the right product. It is not about sourcing. It's not about marketing. I think it has been to convince these 2,600 people that we have one dream. And that dream is to be India's most admired fashion retailer. Today, I think we can very proudly say, and I think every person who joins Bestseller can proudly say, that we are one of the most admired. It was very tough to hire the first 40 people. Okay, it took us hours to convince them why they should join Bestseller. Today, I think everyone and anyone wants to join Bestseller. So I think it's been a great achievement from those people. The big thing about all this is to build a good culture. And I think that's where we all realize we make fancy presentations, we will have the biggest strategies. And I think people who fail, and I'm not saying everyone does that, people who fail who do not have a right people strategy. And I think that is the crux of being a retailer or a manager or a leader, is to get your people strategy right. We're very proud to say we have the lowest churn in the industry today, whether it's our stores or whether it's our own office. We are the lowest churn of the industry. The industry does about 34-35% churn. We do about 21% churn in our stores. In our head office, we do about 5% churn. And though I'm sure in about a few years, we will start facing some challenges on it. But that's been our core belief. Our core belief has been around people. And I say this very proudly to my team. We are not in fashion business. We are in people business, whether it's our employees or whether it's our customer. And I think that's what we have stuck to for the last few years. And here we are. And I'll tell you what the final odd is. The odd our way of saying odd is own, dare, and deliver. And that's what we have done. We have owned our business. We have dared to be different. And we have delivered the 1,000 crore in about 5 years. Thank you so much. That was my journey.
Very much. That was inspiring. Dream, dare, and do. That was really very, very nice. And believe in yourself is a key word. And once you dream big, I often say this, what you think is what you become. And they have shown to this world what they thought they have become.
Correct.
Very well done. Thank you.
We have now Vijay Jain. Vijay is, again, a male in a woman's business. He's the CEO of Aura. Aura, as you know, is one of the leading jewelry brands in this country. The first to start off the entire diamond revolution by creating diamond-only jewelry and diamond jewelry-only stores. And Vijay has been an integral part of the Aura business from the time that he founded it, and led it to what it is today. So Vijay, Your 5 minutes now.
Thank you so much. Can we have the presentation? Mine is a story. It's a story of love, of a love lost and love found again. So this is really my first love. It's not Dipti Gujral. It is my passion for photography. And ever since I can remember, I wanted to shoot. I must have been 7 or 8 years old when I pestered my dad saying that, Dad, I have to have a camera. And the only camera at that point of time was available was a Click 3, a single focus. When if you wanted to take a picture, you actually had to move up to the person, take a click. There was no flash. And a couple of things I remember from that point of time is that one film costed you your entire month's pocket money. So when you had to shoot, you made sure you got it completely right. And the second thing was that when you took a picture, it could be weeks, sometimes months, before you actually developed it. It's almost like management theory. You know, you decide on a strategy, you take action now, and you don't know what the results would be. And that's really what it was with me. And when I was just passing out, my dad decided to give me a Pentax camera. To me, that was the ultimate thing I could have ever got. And I remember we went to this border, India-China border, a place called Yungtang. I took this camera. For the first time, I shot on transparency. And on the way back, that camera got stolen. And I was completely heartbroken, and I didn't have the courage to go back and ask my dad, saying that, Dad, will you buy me another one? However, you always have good friends, and I had a great friend when I was in Shriram College. And he decided, yes, we are both from the same college. So he decided to lend me his camera, and I shot during that period of time. But then as you pass out of college, you know, life takes over. Became an investment banker. Then, like you mentioned, I started Aura in 2004 and just kind of got caught up. But one of the largest changes which I'm seeing currently today is the fact that we are moving from a world of verbal to visual. So in the olden days, and I know I'm much older than a lot of you people here, is that you wrote love letters. You described the situation, you described what you felt. But today, if you look at on social media, it is just that one single photograph, it says it all. And I think that's the reality for all of us. And what's really made it easy is technology. So during this entire period, while I never really shot, the mobile phone always came in handy. And I believe that in each of us, there's a spark which can be rekindled. And this is something I took. It's titled Touch the Sky. It's actually a photograph of my wife sitting on the Sanjay Gandhi National Park. And that's actually a reflection. The second one is really something called a matter of faith. You don't really see the Buddha on top, but you see his reflection because you believe. And I'm saying is that technology and creativity allows you to express whatever you want. They may not be the most brilliant pictures, but it tells a story. And I think in each of us, there's a story for us to be told. My first real break was in 2004 when we were shooting this film in Malta. And we had requested the help of one of India's top professional photographer. And unfortunately, we weren't sure about the visa rule, and as a result, he couldn't make it. So he said, Vijay, will you go there and take the still photos, the backdrops, and we will superimpose. What actually happened was I ended up shooting it, and we actually ran a campaign in 2004 with those pictures. And again, life caught up. And then my wife started a jewelry company, which is silver jewelry, called Ahilya Jewels. And as with any startup, you're always broke. So how do you take the pictures, and who do you go to? And she said, Vijay, will you shoot? And I realized that all my learnings of the past was completely gone. It's not that I'm that old, but I started photography earlier. So you shot in ISO 100. If you shot in ISO 400, you could barely take a shot at night with a few bulbs and grainy pictures. Today, you're talking about ISO 20,000 plus my camera has. So you have to imagine a world, and today it can become a reality. But the question is, how do you learn? It's not that I didn't have a DSLR, a digital camera, but the world had changed. And I said, how do I go back? Because I'm so busy. Where do I get the time? How do I learn? And I went back, 4 years back. Normally, I interview the more senior people. But for the digital business, I was hiring. And on that one particular day, there were 3 people who were on their first job. And they were all engineers, all 3 girls. And the first girl, when she came up, she talked about it, and she said that I am done my engineering from a distance learning course. And I wrote her off. I said, how is that ever possible that I'd hire somebody who has done that? And then the second and the third girl both came, and I took attention. And what I realized that there's a world out there. If you want to learn, everything is possible to learn on the digital space. And this is really a picture which I shot at the Ban Ganga in Bombay, if some of you are aware of, with virtually no lights. This is just, I could only collect pictures which I had shot in the last year. This is in Kashmir, in Gulmarg. This is for Jai Jai Shiv Shankar song, if you guys remember. For some of you might have seen the Rajesh Khanna film. This is again in Kashmir. This is in Pondicherry, Monet in the making. Goat on the edge of a lotus pond. I thought it was just really cute, so I just put that there. This is some of my more recent trips to Thailand. This is a heritage wing for the Taj. There's a love and hate relationship about what's happened. This was again shot on an iPhone. This was not any complex camera. And it's not only women which I love. As you can see, I have 4-legged muses as well. But my first love is women. Like you said, Viju. And I think it was really great when the agency, so we were looking to do a new shoot a few weeks back. And I had never shot really in a studio light. And when the agency said, Vijay, will you shoot it? And because it was an expensive shoot and we didn't have an opportunity to try it out earlier, hire the lights and everything, I had to go on that day and shoot. And I remember we shot for 12 hours non-stop. I remember getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning saying, will I get it right? And these are some of the pictures we actually did manage to shoot. So these are all been shot in the studio less than 4 weeks back. And taking from what you said, Harish, is when you change the frame, the image changes. When the image changes, your reality changes. And when your reality changes, your vision changes. So with that, like it's the last line, picture abhi baki hai. So thank you, everybody.
Great.
Very inspiring. 1,000 words is a picture. Very good. Very inspiring.
Thank you, Vijay. That gave us a true insight into your other skills other than being the business leader of your business. Okay, the next speaker that we have is Manish.
Manish, give a big hand.
Manish is from
The
Human Being Being Human.
Welcome.
Good evening, friends. I've heard some real inspirational stories, and I don't know where to start from because I've had a 25-year stint in this business, and there have been so many learnings, but a few key learnings that I would like to share with you, and I believe very strongly in is, so I'll start with my beginning. I had a very humble beginning in a small town in Rajasthan. I lived in a farm. I was almost like Tarzan. Completely raw and unexposed. And I came, my father was an agriculturist, and he moved to Mumbai. He made me move to Mumbai when I was in my 3rd standard. And I was completely dehati and desi. I didn't know how to speak English. I didn't know how to wear good clothes. I was wearing stitched chaddis or shorts, what we called that time. And when I came to Mumbai, I lived in South Bombay. When I used to get off in my building, all the boys used to make fun of me. They used to tease me. They used to humiliate me. And there was a lot of war within myself at that point. I said, and being a Libran, I follow Mahatma Gandhi very, very closely, and I like peace, So I never retaliated. I never fought back. I never hit them. I never got into any kind of, any kind of fist fight or anything. But I said to myself that, the best way for me to prove myself is through my work and whatever I do or achieve in my life. And I think that'll be the best answer to all these guys who have this superiority complex. And at that point, I was a very complex kid, but I wanted to overcome my fears and my complexes. And that's how the whole journey started. And that battle within me, made me whatever I am today, whatever little I've achieved. And it was very challenging. Those days were very challenging. I was not born with a silver spoon. My family was into dhoti business. They used to sell dhotis post-independence, and that was we were in a traditionally joint family-run business. And I realized when I grew up that I want to get into fashion. I want to do something beyond, this, and I want to, do something clutter-breaking. The journey was too long, but however, to cut it short, I was exporting garments, to wholesalers who would sell to small-time discounters. From there, I graduated to doing some brands. I got some opportunity to do some exports, and I felt that, I need to upgrade myself and do much better. So passionately, I built my business and ended up working with the who's who in the fashion business, like Armani or Versace or Dolce & Gabbana, and name the brand, and I worked with them. And through my learnings and through my working with them and the whole experience that I went through, I realized that if I've been making stuff for them, why can't I do it myself? And I love my country, and I love the fact that I'm an Indian, like all of you. And I often went through a few more humiliations. Oh, you Indians, you guys are always late, never in time, your quality is not good. And all that battle and war that was within me made me feel that I must do something. I must do something to make this country as well proud. And that's how the whole idea started. I was very fortunate. My mother was a giver, she was a philanthropist from the time I saw her. And very kind to people, very respectful to people. And I said, I need to do business that will make me feel good, which will give me joy, And it's very important for all of us to do things which we love to do, If you tell a doctor to sell, garments, it's going to be tough for him. Similarly, I said, I need to take this family business tradition forward and do something which everybody will, be proud of, or maybe, appreciate, or my parents will have a smile on their face. And I love to see smile on the faces of people. Today we employ almost 10,000 people in our organization, and for me, the greatest joy in my business to see anybody smile. So I always believed that, you are whatever you are, or your company is whatever you are because of its people and how important people are and how you need to make them feel like a family. And that's how the whole idea came in, that India is, growing now, and there's time that we do something. And after having worked with so many brands across the globe, I think we were quite ready to start something on our own on a global platform. My vision was always to go global. Of course, India being our playground, we can always grow here because we are here. But the fact is that being an Indian, it would be the proudest moment for me to see our products being sold abroad and being worn by the Europeans or any part of the world. And that was the whole idea. And I was fortunate, and I'm thankful to Salman to give me this opportunity. He started a foundation called Being Human Foundation, and he was always struggling for funds, and he was putting his own money to run it for causes of education and healthcare. I'm sorry, I'm going to take 1 minute more. So I said, why not? I mean, and through, since I worked with so many foreign companies, I used to see them, they used to come and audit the factories, look at all the safety norms, look at if we have, child labor, or do we have a sexual harassment committee. And all those things taught me a lot. And there was a Swiss man who came into my life who supported 5 schools in India. And I said to myself that, if you do your business keeping the social and environmental aspects in your mind, I think you can contribute in a big way to the world, because you're here because of this world and you live in this world, and if you can make it a better place, why not? And that's how the idea of Being Human was born, and we launched the brand first in France. Internationally, we have 300 point of sales today, Europe, Middle East, and then we launched it in India. And the brand is all about goodness, I strongly believe that what you give comes back to you in many folds. And also, the satisfaction of doing good and feeling good is most important. It's larger than being rich or making a lot of money. And in any which way, if we can, help the society, help the environment, respect it, and give our contribution in our own ways, I think that is a real achievement of a lifetime for any businessman or any entrepreneur. I think it's very important to empower people. It's very important to support people who work in your organization. Often people, there are CEOs over here, owners over here, group leaders over here, team leaders over here, head of the departments over here. There's a lot of insecurity in people, if I, give my job to somebody else, I will probably lose my position. No, that's not true. I think knowledge is to be passed. If you pass your knowledge to others, you will only get free to do bigger and better things in life. And I think that's also a part of giving. It's not only monetary help or education or healthcare or whatever, but it's also when you pass your knowledge to people, I think you're giving a lot. And I think all these, at the end of your life, when you sit down and have a cup of coffee after all your achievements or whatever, you need to feel satisfied and you need to feel good. And I think India is a country which is going to be on a global map very, very soon. We are also one of the fastest growing economies. We are the biggest consumer market in the world. The opportunity is right here. I think it's about finding the niche for yourself and trying to do your business in a different way, which can get you a lot of respect and a lot of growth and a lot of prosperity. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Manish.
Thank you.
That was inspiring. From humble beginnings, dreaming big, and thinking, learning, growing, and creating that big picture, and seeing the big picture and showing it, and finally being human. Great. Thank you very much, Manish. Well done.
Thank you. Thanks again, Manish.
Inspiring.
And we have another speaker, and that is Rahul Singh. Rahul is the director of Alsys Performance Wear.
Good evening. I'm not Rahul Singh. I'm an entrepreneur. So that's what my story is going to be, as an entrepreneur. I gate crashed this party. So I was not invited. I met Roy in the morning, and he said, you're here, what are you doing? You're a person who sells beer. And how come you're in the fashion forum? And that's how this whole genesis started, where can I come and speak for 5 minutes, take you through my story? So I just put this up together in the last 2 hours. And it's been great to have everybody sitting here for the last 2 hours. So I know that I'm the one standing between the cocktail bar and this room. So I'm going to be very jiffy in the way it is. Hopefully you can have some insights and some kind of learnings from what I'm going to share with you. To start with, there are only two kinds of people in this room. You are an employee or you're an entrepreneur. Both have the same cause, but both have a very different effect. So what I would like to do, it's 2 hours, you've been sitting, some of us. All the employees, please rise up. Just stand up, I'll give you a little exercise. All the employees, rise up, please. There you go. So it's good for you. You're rising up. Okay? You can take a seat. All the entrepreneurs now rise up. So okay, all the employees, give a big hand to the entrepreneurs. These are the ones who created your jobs. That's what they've done for you. And you have to give a big hand to Harish and Biju to stand here for the last 2 hours. We've been sitting, going to the loo, going to the water. They've been just standing here.
Thank you.
Really admire that, sir.
We live on beer.
Really, really admire. Okay, so that's what a difference between an employee and an entrepreneur is. We all say, I wish I was an entrepreneur. I can trace back my family 400 years. I come from Rajasthan, where we have a huge amount of history. Nobody has ever been an entrepreneur. My father's an IT engineer, my grandfather's an IS officer. Before that, they were all fighters or whatever they did. Nobody ever has ever done anything called business in my life. But you know what? When you become from an I wish to an I will, you become an entrepreneur. Nobody is born an entrepreneur. You become an entrepreneur. Now you say, I want to become an entrepreneur, but what do I do? Where do I go? Is there a place for me? Is there a place in the kids wear? Is there a place in the performance wear? Is there a place in the ethnic wear? There always is a gap. Always a gap in any marketplace. And if you are an entrepreneur, you go and create a market in that gap. That's what you do as an entrepreneur. You always find that gap. Okay, this is my favorite one. This is what I show off on my media and otherwise, that you know what? It's like living a few years of rigor. Lot of hard work. I heard a lot of speakers before me talk about packing things when rats were running around. That's what you have to go through. But you know what? Most people don't want to do it. They're sitting here, getting a job, a check, running an EMI, 2 cars, or whatever you have. But they don't want to do it. But what you will get as an entrepreneur is what others can never get. This is what an entrepreneur or an entrepreneurship can get you. Obviously, sometimes you win. That's what we've learned from failures. My ex-colleagues, there are a lot of friends here. We've all failed. But when you fail, you learn. Whenever you fail, you learn. I have failed. I put my house on the mortgage. I ran into a company for 15 years. I was running a company for 15 years. I was an employee for 15 years. Then I became an entrepreneur. Last 10 years, that's what I've done. 5 years, I did a good round. And I came back to Mother Earth, completely on the footpath, literally. I had to mortgage my house to start my first beer cafe. Today, we're the largest chain in India. And what am I doing in fashion? I'll come to that later. But that is what happens. You learn, you learn, you learn. Failures make you learn. And that is what it is. Success is nothing but going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. 2 hours you're sitting here, you're all enthusiastic. That is success. You are all successful. Sitting for 2 hours, that in itself is a success. And you know what? Success is sweetest when you share. Always share your success. Now we have a problem here. There are global companies, they can't give you stock because of regulations. You have Desi Lalas, they don't want to give it because they want it all. And then you have IT companies, they give you stock because they don't want you to leave your job because you're talented. Why don't you give your stocks to everybody? 652 people work for us, including housekeeping. Everybody has stock in the company. Everybody. And everybody will share the wealth when I get the wealth. That's how it's going to be. That is what it is. Please share your success. It's going to be much sweeter. Okay, this is the genesis of my company. It's called BTB. 2 minutes. Half a second, actually. Okay, it's called Better Than Before. And it's been already, Anant has already spoken about it. And we both worked in the same company 10 years back. And this was the best inspiration that we ever got, called Better Than Before. Throughout our childhood, we go through this. Usko dekho, ye kar lo, aisa kar lo. You know what? Why? Why are you destroying myself? Why competing with others? Look in the mirror. That's your competition. That is what your competition is. If we continuously compete with others, you get bitter. You compete with yourself, you get better. Run for yourself, run a marathon, become better. And that is what I want to do every day of my life. I want to be better than before. Every day, better thoughts, better decisions, and better action. And that is what we are here for, launching a line called the Performance Wear Alces. And a gate crasher, a parakeet gate crasher, so that you don't ever forget a bald man with orange pants and a green shirt. Thank you very much.
Lovely sharing, lovely sharing.
We have after this Yashika Punjabi. Yashika, I know, has been wired up from pretty early in the evening. Yashika is actually the creative director and the co-founder of the labellife.com.
Hi, good evening. As he said, my name is Yashika. I work with the labellife.com. You can actually play that video now. So at the labellife.com, we are an online, We are an online e-commerce brand. We are a brand curated and styled by Suzanne Khan, Malaika Arora Khan, and Bipasha Basu. And we retail decor and fashion online. And what they do for us actually is really interesting. But what we did want, sorry? That's better. Okay. What we did want to talk about is why celebrity endorsement actually equals lazy marketing. In a world full of, in a country actually full of celebrity endorsements, well, that's our website. You can see it while we're standing here. Yeah, that makes sense. So I will recap. We are a brand that's curated and styled by 3 of these wonderful celebs. And what we wanted to talk about and what we believe at thelabellife.com is that celebrity endorsement is actually really lazy marketing. Because if you think about it, it's such a cookie cutter formula where you hire a celebrity, you build a contract, you talk about exclusivity of the brand, you ensure a page 3 story, you have them end up at press conferences, you hope that they post about your brand at the given point in time, you market, and then that's the end of the contract. Why celebrity endorsements equal lazy marketing, and why we think it's a cookie cutter formula. You will see everything that's been done before. And if you do think about it, it really is lazy because there is so much more you can do. For example, what if the celebrities were not showstoppers, but style editors? What if they helped you build your collections, helped you build fabric swatches, and helped you build signature product that you could sell on your website? What if they were not just endorsers, but actually partners, where they could build relationships with you over days, weeks, months, and years, where they'd be part of your journey through thick and thin? What if they don't just turn up at conferences, but actually do collaborations with you with like-minded brands like Uber, Lakme, Shandon, Faces? What if they weren't just exclusive to your brand, but inclusive of your brand, where they turned up at your Christmas party and sang songs with you and made cocktails? What if they just didn't design, but also styled? What if they were those good friends you took with you to the mall that helped you shop and pick out the right outfit that went with those shoes and for that occasion? What if they didn't just do cover placements, but actually build cover stories? What if they spoke of scale and profitability and the journey of the brand? That's some of that. What if you didn't have to follow up with their managers to post content 3 times a month as promised in the contract? What if they built content for you? What if they sent you videos of them twirling around in their favorite umbrella and their workout clothes? What if, this is the best one, what if they didn't campaign for you, but actually converse with your customers? We are questioning this because that is what we have done at thelabellife.com. That is what we have done in a little corner of the internet. We're building something absolutely different from just celebrity endorsement. We're building authentic customer stories. We can play that. These are some of our customer pictures. We've basically, through what we've been doing, built what we call an authentic shopping experience with them helping you do what they do. And more than anything else, we're getting authentic customer love and authentic customer experiences. And just to sum it up, this is why we think that celebrity endorsements equal lazy marketing, because it can be so much more. And that's what we do at thelabellife.com. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
You inspired. Thank you. So let's give a big hand to all the people who had come and shared the story.
Absolutely.
We were inspired, influenced, and motivated by them.